Hello and welcome to another episode of Pat Baer's Anime Club, an ongoing video series where every other Monday I put out a new video to take a look at something in the world of anime that I'm interested in. Could be a exploration of a genre or a subgenre, a look at the current anime season. I do that quite often because people seem to appreciate that, and I'm also interested in new anime and what's going on out there. But sometimes I just want to talk about manga, right? I did this pretty recently and people enjoyed it. So today, in this recording, we're going to take a look at. Whoop, what's going on here? There we go. 5 more manga with weird premises. I did this previously. This is a look at the States. Manga that has something unique about it, not your general thing of like. Your usual shonen or usual romance. And sometimes they have twists to them, certainly. Every show's a little different. But really, there are some premises that are just wild out there. Like, oh, and I should say right off the bat, I did talk about one really weird isekai in the last one. But in this one, there will be more isekai because that is the subgenre that, in my mind, is getting the weirdest lately. But this first one, not an isekai. It is Cats of the Louvre. And this is one of those, like, manga that, like, people who don't read manga will read. It'll show up on, like, New York Times lists. They're not lists, but, like, the New York Times articles on manga. So it's a little highfalutin. But it's really good and interesting. And yes, it does start with the premise of what if in the attic of the Louvre there were cats that were raised there for generations, and security guards knew about it and fed them, but the common goer to the museum did not know that at night the cats come out, and that's like the jumping off point for weirdness. But it really is, and that is odd. That is a strange premise for a manga. The manga really is an exploration of different people and different folks they're interconnecting their lives, and it is an exploration of sadness and growth and life and art. The art is like the modern art is like the least important thing, and the cats are great and they're drawn really well and their lives are interesting, and yeah, I mean it's an odd premise that explores common themes. And I do recommend. I would say of the 5 that I'm going to talk about here, this is the one I recommend the most. And the one I recommend the second most, I did not put these in order of recommendations, is of course Dragon Ball. That time I got reincarnated as Yamcha, which you would expect is like, oh, that's just like a fun parody of isekais that someone did on their like Twitter, right? Or it showed up, like on 2chan or something. No, this is an official product that ran digitally in a Shonen Jump. Not the main Shonen Jump, but the digital secondary Shonen Jump. I can't remember which one. My apologies. But it is done by someone with tactical approval of Shonen Jump, and then I guess you could say, I don't know if Toriyama agreed to this existing, but it is official. It's not canon, but it is official. And it is exactly what it says on the tin. What if someone died and then got reincarnated as a Yamcha, and they were a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and so they know the story and they know future events, so they're like, well, there's Pilaf, and I know what's coming soon, so I'm going to go and train with Master Roshi, and I'm going to, hey, I know that Krillin unlocked his, and Gohan unlocked their potential from one of the elders on Namek. I'm going to Namek, and I'm going to get my potential unlocked, so I can be even stronger. And then he shows up at the Cell games going like, I know that the Cybermen kill me. But I'm not going to go out like that in this particular instance. Are there other people who are also isekai in this version of Dragon Ball? Yes, I won't get into spoilers. There's only 3 chapters, I believe. 3 chapters and a bonus chapter. It's short. It's funny. It's a fun premise. It doesn't need to be an epic tale because it is like, it's not a parody, but it is a weird isekai, and it is a weird premise to be like, hey, let's take this idea and then go even farther with it of like, let's go put you into, instead of putting you into a video game you've played, let's put you into a manga that you've read, and an anime that you've watched. And then also, we're not going to invent that. It's going to be something that everyone knows anyway. That's interesting. That's different. This is not the only example of this kind of a thing. There have been manga that are isekai that feature characters from a popular thing. Several characters from like a bunch of different anime have like been like, okay, well, what happens when like a character from Baki goes to another world? Like that is a thing. So that's not unique in that. There have been other examples of it, but in this case, it is the isekai part of also someone being possessed Yamcha. You know, it isn't Yamcha goes to a fantasy world. This is a little different, but that other part has existed. And look, again, the next two I'm going to be talking about here are isekai. One starts as your standard isekai, killer shark in another world. Girl gets summoned. She's in school. She's to get enough power to defeat the demon lord. So yeah, your typical thing, except she studies summoning magic and doesn't do a good job of it because she summons a killer shark. And this shark can use all the tropes from shark movies. It's not just Jaws, it's any movie with a shark or that kind of thing. So is there a Sharknado thing in there? Yeah. Have I read all of this? No, I haven't read all of this. It's not good, but it is weird. The idea of not only that it's basically like this shark is just like likes her and follows her around, but also is a killer shark and is going to do killer shark stuff. It's very bloody. It's very messy. There's a lot of like, oh, you think that no, there's a shark. Don't worry. Whatever you thought was going to happen in this chapter, there's a shark, so don't worry about it. It's bizarre, and I do really like it. So yeah, it fits totally in the weird premises of like, yeah, what if the movie-style shark, the unstoppable killing machine shark, showed up in isekai? This is what you get. Okay, so also, hey, what about Reborn as a vending machine? I now wander the dungeon. Remember last video, which will be linked in the comments if you didn't watch it, I talked about the reincarnated an onsen, or hot tub, outdoor bath, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's this kind of premise. You might not know this, but there are vending machine otaku. There are people who love knowing about vending machines. That is just a thing. And what happens when an unnamed person, we never know his name, dies because a vending machine falls on him? Well, he gets reborn in another world as a vending machine, just in the forest. And there's a little more to it. He can communicate through some digital sounds. He figures out anything that he's ever bought. He bought a lot of stuff out of vending machines. He can then produce, and by the money he acquires, he can use to better himself. And the most important thing is if someone finds him that needs food, and then she's just like, oh, this thing, I don't know what this thing is, but I'm going to carry it with me, which also, one, benefits Boxo, which she names him. Boxo now can move around a bit, and also his partner, who has ridiculous strength that she has very little control over, well, by carrying this big vending machine on her back, it weighs her down and actually makes it easier for her to control herself and her strength. So it's a win-win. It's weird. I do like this manga. I won't lie. I do like it. It's got some heart to it in some weird ways. And the main character is a vending machine. What else should I need to say? It's weird. It's a weird idea. It could have been a manga about a vending machine otaku, but instead they went and made it goddamn isekai. And the last one, okay, so I might be stretching this as far as is this a manga, because it is as far as I can tell, I don't think it's had an official manga release. I actually, you know what? I'm going to Google it. I know that it started on Twitter, so I might not have ever actually gotten a official manga release, but it is drawn in the style of a manga. So we could call it a dojin, I guess. Oh yeah, I'm looking here, and I mean, look, it's got a translation. As far as I can tell, I may have goofed on this one. This one might not actually be an official manga, official, but it does, it has been made and it is got, a fan sub that is that the artist and creator is like, yeah, into this. Glad you're making it. Um, but let me see. Oh yeah, okay, it's on Pixiv. Pixiv. So the original publisher is a place that you can just upload stuff to. Um, so okay, and I believe it's the user section of that. Okay, so it's not a print manga. I'll say that. I should say the name of it, right? Shouldn't I say the name of it? It is The Strongest Haunted House and the Guy with No Spiritual Sense. It's a romantic comedy manga. It's a romantic comedy about a dude who moves into this house that is haunted, but he has no spiritual sense. The spirit inhabiting it, she was an exorcist or a psychic medium or something to that effect that died, and has been haunting this place. And she has so much magic power that and so much ability that she has been able to haunt and chase people out. She doesn't want anybody to live in there. This dude's been living there, and it's been frustrating her for so long that take a hint, dude. I'm trying to haunt you. There's other creatures that are kind of like her new family that are supporting her, but are also yeah, no, this is not working out. You're we gotta try harder. So a lot of it is them just trying to communicate, and then when they do start communicating, things get more wacky because there's an exorcist who ends up becoming the medium between the two, the translator almost, and she's not thrilled about that, and he's dumb, but in a nice way. He's a bit of a himbo. He does, once he realizes that a ghost has been checking out what he's been doing, he is very embarrassed about the life that he has been living. He doesn't necessarily go about changing, that he's just a dumb hornball. But that's for laughs. And it is funny and weird, and I would recommend it. I think that The Strongest Haunted House and the Guy with No Spiritual Sense is worth checking out, even if it's not technically a manga and is just someone's solo project that they're uploading that maybe someday maybe it'll get a redraw. One Piece started off with terrible art. This is actually really good art, but I'm saying the light novel to manga thing has certainly happened before, but also the uploaded to a fan site to gets discovered, gets a deal, gets a new artist, or just more time for the other artist to redraw, ends up in a digital magazine, ends up in a physical magazine. That stuff happens all the time. So good on you, and I would recommend The Strongest Haunted House and the Guy with No Spiritual Sense because it's fun. And it's a weird premise. This kind of romantic comedy where it takes a long time to become a romantic comedy because it is just like a haunting. Generally, if a story is about someone being haunted, they know they're being haunted. This guy doesn't. And that is 5 more manga with weird premises. Now, in the comments below, let me know if you've read any of these, if you're going to take a look at any of them, or if you have any suggestions for other manga that I should check out. I do want to do more manga coverage on Pat Baer's Anime Club. Of course, it is Anime Club, so we'll be talking about anime. The next video will be my recommendations for this season. Enough episodes have happened, so in 2 weeks from this release, I will be doing my kind of it'll be not at the end of the season, but it'll be more than halfway, and I think more than halfway I can be hey, here's what I actually recommend. If you follow my Twitter, you might already know. If you watch my live streams, you might know what I'm liking this season, but I do have some recommendations of things that I think are worth checking out. And thank you very much for watching Pat Baer's Anime Club. I will see you in the next video. In the comments below, if you have an idea for something you'd like to see me cover, be it more weird manga I should check out, or just in general, like, hey, Pat, you should do a video on this thing. I don't know anything about this anime that's coming out. Like, talk to me about that. Like, this next season, what's going on with this thing? Feel free to put some recommendations or questions. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Like and share, please. Goodbye.